Good evening and welcome to Undaunted, bringing into the news untold stories. I am Star Smart. Let's begin. The colonial Republique de Cameroon military deployed to the Federal Republic of Ambazonia have no respect for age, gender, or any other criteria.
We the people, ABC Amba TV, Ambazonia Broadcasting Corporation. The voice of the voiceless, the voice of Ambazonia, connecting the world from Africa. With untold stories, Africa's best. We the people, ABC Amba TV, Ambazonia Broadcasting Corporation. The voice of the voiceless, the voice of Ambazonia, connecting the world from Africa. With untold stories, Africa's best.
La Republique de Cameroon has always pretended in front of the international community the fake desire of longing to remain in unison with the Federal Republic of Ambazonia. Many institutions and countries could have fallen for this cheap proposal, but the contradictory actions of La Republique de Cameroon on the ground against Ambazonia disproves them. The colonial president of La Republique de Cameroon, Paul Biya, cannot play ignorant that he is not aware of the xenophobic attack being perpetrated on Ambazonian settlers right under his nose. Well, while the interim government led by Sacco tries to get the right information to the entire world in order to give Ambazonians the recognition and freedom that they deserve, there are still coup plotters and blacklegs who try to sabotage his struggle and the genuine struggle of other true compatriots. In tonight's Undaunted, we'll get to hear an extensive reaction to these and other important issues as regards Ambazonia, but only after the prime headlines.
All right, these are the prime headlines for today. For today's story, we'll start with Cho Ayaba's voting ambition. Well, he's using the Amazonian independent quest for self-aggrandizement. Amazonians are being chased out of the Sangmelima, which is the backyard of President Paul Biya. There is an interesting spot in that story that will definitely interest you. President of Rangers FC Bafut suspended for going against Samuel Eto'os. Also today, in-house slave councillors pay a blind eye to garbage in Bamenda. On the foreign scene, UK to pay $576 million in deal with France to combat illegal immigration. What causes immigration in the first place? These and more we will give to you today on our news report. Now let's get the news in detail.
The media greatly influences society. They inform people about what is happening. It permeates people's lives by creating their own criteria and opinions. In this way, the media moves the masses, creating different social movements.
For over 60 years, the people of Ambazonia were deprived of such privileges. The privilege to enhance their own criteria and opinion. They have suffered cultural genocide for 6 long decades, but not in this age and not with Undaunted ABC Amba News on board.
You must understand that wars are fought and won in the media. The speed of the revolution on Ambazonia's quest for freedom cannot be explained without highlighting the diligent use of the media.
Russia-Cameroon colonizers, among other strategic moves, weaponized the media against Ambazonia for so long, and they continue to do so even today. The question would be, how much do the oppressed people of Ambazonia need to counter the media rage?
Indeed, how much more is required to stop the genocide? The carnage in Ambazonia didn't start today. In 1961, 1972, 1984, and 1992, Ambazonians were slaughtered in huge numbers and help was not forthcoming. Why? Because the oppressor was the piper in the media.
The good news is we have what it takes to dictate the pace.
Right now, ABC Amba TV is taking advantage of the wonders of multimedia aggressively
to inform the misinformed and disinformed with Undaunted and other revolutionary programs bringing it to the news untold stories.
Most importantly, to win the media war by taking ABC Amba TV into every multimedia platform.
In a word, where the importance of storytelling can never be overemphasized, Ambazonians has to tell her own story, not the other way round.
And like we say it always, Ambazonia must narrate her story accurately. We can do this together, you know, right? You are just a click away. Visit our website at www.abcambertv.com, and the steps are quite simple.
With just a click on the website, you can become a club member with so many benefits.
You can also make a one-time donation, advertise and showcase your goods and services at the marketplace on the website.
That was easy, right? You're welcome on board.
And thank you for opting for the winning team.
News reached Undaunted prior to the charade called La Republique de Cameroon senatorial elections in Amberland, where the SDF officials accused Joe Ayaba's ADF Ambazonian Defense Forces for aiding the ruling La Republique de Cameroon CPDM, the party to penetrate part of the northern zone for their campaigns while blocking access to the SDF. The case in point was that the ADF blocked the Bamenda Mbengui road after a CPDM campaign team had passed to Mbengui. The road blockage, which is still ongoing, was aimed to frustrate the SDF militants from reaching Mbengui for campaigns. Well, now this is where we will begin the full briefings of Undaunted tonight. I am Onyi Okbala. How are you doing, sir?
Oh, very well, Onyi. Good evening, Ambazonians. We'll be moving on with the reports. Angry SDF supporters in Bangui lamenting said, "We heard the ADF saying they have blocked the Bamenda and Bangui road till further notice, only after they had allowed the CPDM caravan to drive past. Knowing that the SDF will also be moving to Bangui to campaign, they connived with the CPDM to block the road," adding that political campaigns are not going on smoothly because the CPDM has gathered councillors and caged them in hotels. This is making it difficult for us to meet and sell our manifesto to them. The SDF party has also called on the ruling CPDM political party to release the councillors so that they too can campaign. The CPDM has not reacted to the allegations levied against them since mafia is its stalking trade.
Well, the ADF in the northern zone have come under fire for facilitating the CPDM's easy work at previous elections, including the February 2020 parliamentary and legislative elections, contrary to the modus operandi of the People's Interim Government of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia, headed by the non-nonsense Dr. Common Sense Samuel Ikome Sako. Frundi finally exposed Joe Ayaba as he has now seen that the CPDM is working with ADF to block them. Even a white lady, Sissy Blockley, in her book, where she said, and I quote, "The Cameroon's Peace Project, a case study in the pedagogical game theory paper back December 1st, 2022, criticized the ADF La Republique de Cameroon's alliance doing everything to frustrate the Ambazonian liberation struggle. They kidnap people and collect ransom, kill Ambazonian restoration forces. Recently, a certain Capo Daniel, who goes around as spokesperson for La Republique de Cameroon's ADF, thanked President Paul Biya, the genocido, following the Canadian charade, something at variance with the much-cherished sweet-led process that was welcomed by all to end the conflict, snubbed by the blood-thirsty Yaoundé junta."
Now, Joe Ayaba's abduction and ransom-taking squad ADF last week kidnapped traditional chiefs and denizens at Achatugi, Momo County, in addition to the mayhem and others committed in other areas like Batibo, Bamenda, etc. As we report, the charade went on by CPDM and La Republique de Cameroon's corruption mechanism to come out with something like this to tell the world that there is normalcy in Ambazonia, especially in the northern zone. They came out with the Mencham County votes being total number of Total number of registered voters 107. Total number of valid votes cast 107. Total numbers of absentees 0. CPDM having 105 and SDF having 2 votes. Mazam County having a total number of registered voters to be 237 and a total number of valid votes to be 237. A total number of absentees 0. CPDM having 202 votes and SDF having 35 votes.
Well, the Donga Mountain County, total number of registered voters 180. Total number of valid votes cast was 171. Total number of absentees 9. CPDM 170, SDF 0. Invalid votes 1. Bui County, total number of registered voters 171. Total number of valid votes cast 151. CPDM 150, SDF 1. Then to Boyo County, total number of registered voters 122. Total number of valid votes cast 92. Total number of absentees 30. The CPDM 91, SDF 1.
All the senatorial elections result in Ngoketunja County CPDM 87 over 107 and the SDF 0 over 107 votes cast. 20 absences. Boyo County total number of votes cast 92 and CPDM has 91 with the SDF having 1. Percentage score by CPDM 98.91% and the SDF had 1.09%. Reports reaching Undaunted adds that in Lome, La Republique de Cameroon, Fief SDF, militants exchanged blows over alleged elections irregularities. In Bamenda local government area, the town was ghosted as election arrangements went behind closed doors in hotel rooms.
Well, worthy to note here is that since the Yaoundé monarch, Paul Biya, declared war on the peace-loving Southern Cameroonians, fighting only for their fundamental rights since 2017, this war that has been raged now for over 6 years and counting has claimed over 45,000 lives. It has destroyed over 600 homes and villages. It has also sent hundreds of thousands into exile, displaced over 1 million as refugees. For fact, it goes into record as one of the world's most neglected bloody conflicts. Since the onset of this war, there has never been anything like free and fair elections in Amberland. The councillors, mayors, parliamentarians, senators parading the streets in La Republique de Cameroon have been merely appointed or co-opted by the corrupt system that obtains in La Republique de Cameroon. All these appointments have little or nothing in common with their constituents, where they are personal, non grata, having severe ties with Ambazonian people for winning and dining with the occupier, La Republique de Cameroon. Most of them live in Yaoundé either in hotels or in rented houses, and some have built and settled in Yaoundé. Their movements are in bulletproofs and armored cars, frequently attacked by their Ambazonian freedom fighters.
And now on to our next report. The song of beer being Unizim is really not so true. La Republique has always pretended in front of the international community the fake desire of longing to remain in unison with the Federal Republic of Ambazonia. Many institutions and countries could have fallen for this cheap proposal, but the contradictory actions of La Republique du Cameroon on the ground against Ambazonia has proven otherwise. The colonial president of La Republique du Cameroon, Paul Biya, cannot play ignorant that he is not aware of the xenophobic attack being perpetrated on Ambazonian settlers in Sangmelima, his own hometown.
The handwriting is on the wall. The La Republique de Cameroon and the FRA harbor different groups of people with well-distinct cultures and ways of life, and for Ambazonia to enjoy its sovereignty, La Republique de Cameroon agents must be flushed out in unison. The in-house slave Atanga Nji of the Colonial Ministry of Territorial Administration is fond of repeating the chorus of La Republique de Cameroon that Cameroons are indivisible. Cameroons might not, but Cameroons is divisible since it has come together of two nations. The question is, How can they preach living together, yet send out Amazonians from their town?
Ambazonian settlers in Sangmelima, a town of the south region of La Republique de Cameroon, the region of birth of the colonial president of La Republique de Cameroon, Paul Biya. They are being chased out by the indigents. The settlers say they don't want strangers in their land. The main reason, as per the action of this promoter of xenophobic tendency, is that Ambazonians are making it in their endeavors more than the locals.
Well, the locals are not just carrying out this act that can be considered as an act being perpetrated by illiterates, but no, they are being supported by La Republique de Cameroon forces of law and order. This means that it is a state-organized plan to flush out Amazonians from their midst. The rhetorical question news followers are asking, or what they are asking, is why the same La Republique de Cameroon is not pulling herself with her agents out of Ambazonia. The usual conclusion is that it is all because Ambazonia is the breadbasket of La Republique de Cameroon.
Well, this act of chasing out Ambazonians from their towns is a manifestation of the long-term animosity the Cameroonese have been manifesting against Ambazonians. La Republique de Cameroon, Bikutsi singing has, in many of her songs, chanted the inferiority of the people of southern Cameroon's Ambazonia as compared to Cameroonians of La Republique de Cameroon.
Well, she's just one amongst others. A TV presenter of the Vision 4 broadcasting house, Ernest Obama, is one of his TV programs, said all Ambazonians are terrorists and need to be completely wiped out from the surface of the earth. The Ambazonia Restoration Forces have been civic in the discharge of their duties, and with the new twist in the treatment of Ambazonians in neighboring La Republique de Cameroon, they must reconsider the way they treat Cameroonese in Ambazonia.
Well, interestingly, in an emergency committee meeting held on March 10th in neighboring La Republique de Cameroon colonial capital Yaoundé, the Office of the Association of Elite Clubs of La Republique de Cameroon, ACEC, suspended the president of Rangers Football Club of Bafut for what was described as being impolite to Samuel Eto'o, president of Fecafoot. He has been suspended from all ACEC activities until further notice. The organization also reserves the right to bring him before the colonial La Republique de Cameroon Fecafoot Ethics Commission. It should be recalled George Nebashu was at loggerheads with the Fecafoot president concerning the non-payment of salaries for players of the first and second divisions of the colonial La Republique de Cameroon National Football League.
Well, in recent weeks, many players have continued to complain about salary arrears, especially to Fecafoot. Samuel Eto'o, in reaction, said, and I read, "The money we give to clubs is to pay their players because when you sell them, the players do not get their share. This is your business. It is like a racehorse. You have to maintain it well because it earns you bonuses. And in this case, the players bring you a lot of money."
He also highlighted that Fecafoot does not take care of the management of clubs, but at the level of the federation. "We don't take part in your management," he says, "but ours at the federation, that of the executive committee, which I have the honor to chair."
The declarations of Samuel Eto'o did not please George Nebashu, president of Rangers FC Bafut. He says Fecafoot has not paid all the money for the players' salaries. In part, he said, "My club spent 6 million a month on players' salaries. Yesterday, I received 4 million from the federation in my bank account while I was paying the players for several months." He goes on to say, "If the federation has no money, let them tell us to manage. I spend hundreds of millions every year to run my club. The federation promised 23 million. The championship started more than 5 months ago, and I have only received 10,300,000 in total until today." He goes on to say, "I have been spending 75,000 every day on training bonuses since July. They say they are going to give me 23 million, but it is coming in drips and drops." He regrets.
Well, George Neba also stated that Samuel Eto'o has been disrespectful to them generally. Samuel Eto'o, he says, disrespects us, but he wants us to respect him. We all know that there is no money at the Federation. He must tell us the truth. If this is not the case, why pay in dribs and drabs, he asked. It should be recalled that in September 2022, the Secretary General of FECAFOOT sent out a release stating that the salary of players of the MTN Elite 1 increased from 100,000 francs CFA to 200,000 francs CFA, and that of the MTN Elite 2 went from 50,000 francs CFA to 100,000 francs CFA.
And moving on, Bamenda has become a warehouse of garbage. The inhabitants of Bamenda cry out as garbage surrounds the whole environment and is like a new decoration at road junctions. The local authorities, in the name of the so-called municipal councillors, have successfully ignored the ongoing garbage piled up in the environment of Bamenda. The mobilization towards the charade called senatorial elections could have better been used for the interest of the common man by just, probably clearing the refuge at the different road junctions in Bamenda.
Well, it is no doubt the duty of these councillors is to spearhead the development of their different localities, of which waste management is one, but there is nowhere to be found. They're nowhere to be found. To the build-up of the banned senatorial elections in Amazonia, we see these councillors being locked in expensive hotels for about a week, lavishing taxpayers' monies, and those they were to protect are left with the pungent smell from the garbage heaps around. This is evident because the colonial La Republique de Cameroon cares for the welfare of the people of southern Cameroon's Amazonia. Else, why are they only seen around only during elections?
As the inhabitants of Bamenda on the 12th of March 2023 took upon themselves to remain indoors in disagreement to the charade called senatorial elections in Amberland, Undaunted decided to parade the streets of Bamenda for observation. What was conspicuous was the heaps of garbage at all the junctions. These heaps have been piling for more than a month in some areas, like the Interim market area, the entrance to behind the Brasserie Junction, Azure Old Church Junction, and La Chance Bridge, just to name but these few. The garbage heaps have grown into the roads, obstructing circulation. Yet, what the colonial authorities in Amazonia chose to do is to spend huge sums of money on councillors for doing nothing, just because they form the Electoral College.
Well, the charade called senatorial elections have come and gone, with the big wigs of different political parties gone back to the refugee camp, the colonial political capital of La Republique de Cameroon, leaving Amazonians to lick their wounds. Yet, with all these actions that are evident that to La Republique de Cameroon, Amazonians are second-class citizens, some Amazonians, for selfish reasons, have decided to take sides with the enemy, forgetting the sufferings of their brothers and sisters. There is hope on the horizon with the recently announced war draft by the interim government. As in the nearest future, Amazonians will be free from the hooks of La Republique de Cameroon for good.
All right, we are going to take a look at the military accord La Republique de Cameroon signed with Russia. Cameroon signed an agreement on the 12th of April 2022 with Russia for military cooperation. Well, according to security sources, the agreement was part of the continuation of military ties between the two countries for several years, with the emphasis recently on the revision of the military deal signed in 2015.
Well, from African news, we understand that on the instruction of Cameroon's head of state, Paul Biya, and Russian President Vladimir Putin, Defense Minister Joseph Bettiasobo and his Russian counterpart, General Sergei Shoigu, they inked the documents that define the military cooperation. In the 13-page document, the two countries agreed to exchange opinions and information on defense policies and international security, development of relations in the areas of joint training, medicine, topography, or military hydrography.
That's not all. They also agreed to exchange experiences and interaction in peace support operations under the aegis of the United Nations. The symbolic deal established in Moscow, comes as several countries around the world withdraw ties with the Kremlin to impose sanctions. And not just that as well, but also at a time when La Republique de Cameroon outrightly turned its back on the Swiss-led peace process going on at the time.
Well, the question is, why would La Republic get into a military accord with Russia around the time it committed the blunder of rejecting the Swiss-led mediations? Worthy to note also, the Trump administration gave a sanction to La Republique de Cameroon, suspending every military aid when they realized the La Republique de Cameroon was using the military aid given to them to fight against Boko Haram instead to kill citizens of the southern Cameroon's Amazonia. The president of the Federal Republic of Amazonia, during an interview with Voice of America, had this to say in that regards.
The voice. We the people. ABC Amba TV, Ambazonia Broadcasting Corporation. The voice of the voiceless, the voice of Ambazonia, connecting the world from Africa with untold stories, Africa's best. We the people, ABC Amba TV, Ambazonia Broadcasting Corporation. The voice of the voiceless, the voice
in Cameroon, civil society, human rights defenders, and opposition political groups are expressing concern about the recent military agreement signed between the administration in Yaoundé and Russia. They say the accord could worsen the ongoing Anglophone crisis in Cameroon. They also say the government may decide not to engage in talks to resolve the conflict, but resort to Russian military assistance, including Wagner Group mercenaries, that will escalate tensions. The groups are now calling on the international community and Western partners to pressure the government to find a negotiated solution to the Anglophone crisis. For more about the Cameroon military's agreement with Russia and its anticipated impact, as well as Moscow's influence in Africa, I read Samuel Ikome Sako. He is the leader of the Southern Cameroon people.
The regime and the people around the regime have chosen to pivot towards Russia because they are acting contrary to the overall wish of the international community as we know it, the United States and Europe, which is to have a negotiated settlement. So they don't want a negotiated settlement. And instead, the West is considering sanctions, cutting off aid like the Trump administration did, military aid to Cameroon. So now, because they have decided to double down on the military option, they have to fall back on Russia, which is trying to expand its influence. So this is the reason.
How are Anglophone Cameroonians reacting to this?
We are really shocked and not too surprised, because we have always suffered from this culture of neglect from our traditional allies, or let me call them colonial allies. From the get-go, Britain just handed us over to these people, to the French Cameroon, and left, contrary to what the United Nations mandated according to Resolution 60, the General Assembly of 1961. So we have been abandoned, because I don't think that this is the right way to do it. We were under the British administration, and we were expecting that at this time they should come to our side. And when they say that we should negotiate, they should be able to oblige the Republic of Cameroon to meet us on the table.
Why do you think the influence of Russia in Africa is becoming problematic and has to be challenged? Why do you think so?
It is because the Russians are using two two legs to spread in Africa. They are using insecurity, and they are using political unrest. Wherever they find political unrest or they see insecurity, they know that those embattled regimes, because they themselves have been crooked, they are looking for help elsewhere, because the Western aid is usually conditional, and there are certain values that in many cases, like the United States, they want to see before they can help. So they go to where they just go to the market. Russia is a market for arms. So that's disturbing. That means too many arms are all over Africa now because of the Russian influence. So it is disturbing because that means more insecurity for Africa. That means a slowdown to development and many more wars to fight on the continent.
What do you think is the best way forward to resolve this concern that you have, especially in Africa and particularly in Cameroon?
In Cameroon, and then in the Central Africa sub-region, we see that Russia is spreading. They started their experiment in the Central Africa region around about 2 years ago in 2021, with that Central African Republic, and they succeeded. They are there now, controlling the seat of power, and then that is what is going to happen. It's now spreading. So what can America do? But America withdrew, and the French withdrew their forces at the end of their agreement in 2017 in Central African Republic, and that gave the Russians the military agreement they had with Central African Republic, defending the country against all the insurgencies in that country. This agreement expired 2017, and they had to withdraw their troops. When a democratic regime has just been voted of Mr. Touadéra in 2016, that withdrawal created a vacuum for the Russians to be invited. I'm saying that America should come in this time around, not to support some of these very crooked regimes that have already been compromised with the Russians, but to look at the forces within the next generation of leadership, choose their allies. Like in southern Cameroon, we are the traditional allies of America.
Samuel Ikome Sako is the leader of the Southern Cameroon people. He spoke with me from here in Washington.
All right, now on to the next report. You've heard it from President Samuel Ikome Sako himself. Well, interestingly, that is not the only thing that he reacted to, as there is another thing that calls for his reaction, and that has to do with Chris Anu on the ID cards. Well, let's have it.
Fellow Ambazonians, I want to say around 2018, we will get this interim government, we will get national ID project. The when I be weigh that project, I be see and say, we were with day for diaspora. We no need ID because we already be identified. The people that we really need them for pride because now they don't make the highest statement. Now we are forces and our people on the ground. But I be see and say, if we be continue in that part by withdrawing their other identification, we give them our own. We will just deliver them to be targeted and to be killed. So I weigh the project in terms of using it to raise money. I discover say it is cost ineffective. I mean say the cost of production, the cost of doing all that, and the benefit we want get them from there, the cost past the benefit. I throw away the project one side. And from that moment, the interim government be denied. It be see and say we no need them. Many people too, they be get concerned about an identification database for Amazonia. Identification database, it means say when you want to make identity card, you get for provide your name, you provide all your 3 names, you provide your papa name, provide your mommy name, provide your address, place where you dey, and then your contact information, your photograph. No, in this period of war, we see and say that's too much to require from the people, because as people that they change in this struggle, if somebody carry that database go, you know, go find for we. And when I say so, when I don't see what happen for the struggle, people don't be say that the Amazonia forever. Say whether na caterpillar go no go fit move me for here. When I don't see what it don't happen. So the wisdom be talk say, may we not do that kind of thing. We go gather all Amazonia for diaspora, we put that inside one database. Database where no man will even use, because if for identity card, you know go use pen name. You know, we use alias. You go use your real name, your real photograph, and everything. All we will know for that situation right now. So we discover say that project is is unnecessary. Now where I hear some people, what I said, the commodity talk say make people then come anywhere where you did, maybe you send your photograph, you send your name, you make you identity card, so you be Amazonian. May I tell you something? And now after I finish, you hear this message. If you like, you go ahead, you go do it. But I want to tell you something. Say the people where the person where go give your identity card, give your identity, your photograph, give your names, give your papa name, give your mommy name. You get for no say. You don't put your name inside a database, and only God know who and who they go get access for that database one day. Who and who inside that group they talk with La Republique, they talk with Atanganji, and they talk with people the way it go betray you, go betray your family, go betray your people. The most important thing for anything we do for inside this diaspora now, not only for raise money, and when we raise money, we put them for the hand for the people the way they fight. We know they here for we will get. You know, if you can give me identity card, say because make a buy and so that you will get money. No. We not use identity card for revenue. Now how much you go come out? Cost of production, how much? They go get now how much for day. Then because of that little money, we put the whole revolution. We jeopardize the whole revolution, jeopardize for their family back home, jeopardize everywhere. And we will no man no fee swear. Say we say where that name they go end. That database will go. We in the interim government will talk say if you need paper or go do your asylum, you belong to your local government, you belong to your county. You know, say we get our department in the presidency, we be in charge of immigration. Many of them who don't help on even someone the way they coach we today, we're not activists. We don't give them paper so that they get document. We don't take no man money, say give we this money so that we'll give you paper. If we see and say you be committed to the struggle, we help you. We don't need for sell you anything for help you. We only testify, say we know you, say you are a comrade, and may we help you. We don't help people them for all side, for Europe, for America. No dime. Make one man come on here talk say don't take $1 for you because we want happy. Because why? We they help now people who don't already know them who fit testify. This one where people they go talk say they want make identity card. Well, you know if you verify people them their origin. Finally you go come here say all man plus people the way you don't know what are 11, 12, 13 province. All they go gather for the all man go get the one the way whether in Nigeria, any side way they and so on, where they struggle people for this docky matter. It go come in a docky government. Docky. No, where we deal with people then where we sabia. We not if go online, we say man, any man pay money, put your name here, we will give you paper. We not if do that kind of thing. One, because we not get nothing for profit from that. It be cost ineffective, it be dangerous for the revolution, it be dangerous for the people and their families. We not if do that kind of thing. And discourage us very strongly. Nobody in the diaspora should go deliver yourself so to an unknown people. You said that they go print that. You know who go do them? You know who said they go take that name them? Be very careful. When it happen, I make this audio myself so that when it happen, make you not call the name of the interim government. There's one interim government, and they tell you so. If somebody tell you say there's a certain interim government where you don't talk say they won't give you identity card say you be Amazonian. No say it is fake. But if you like, go ahead. But may you not talk say you be confused. That thing be do. That thing I want to say may you hear my voice and make your choice. Thank you very much and God bless you.
All right, you've heard it from the president himself, and he has told you you should listen. He who has ears would listen and be wise. You make your choice, as he said. While the interim government, led by Sangmelima Sako, tries to get the right information, like what he just gave out there to you, the entire Ambazonians, in order to give Ambazonia the recognition that it deserves, we still have coup plotters who give you wrong informations and tell you to do the wrong things, which he is warning you against. And an example is this trendy video of Chris Anu talking about the national ID cards that President Sangmelima Sako just talked about, and gave you a rather convincing next step of action instead. Well, let's hear what Chris Anu had to say before he reacted.
The ID cards shall be produced, made available only to Ambazonians in the diaspora only. Now, we restrict them to the diaspora because we understand the security implications for those of you on ground zero, because should the invading soldiers, gendarmes, and police of the Republique de Cameroon find them on you, you know where your destination will be right after that. So that is the reason why those ID cards are being restricted to Ambazonians in the diaspora. We have had lots and lots and lots of appeals. So finally, we heard your cries, and we have decided. We deliberated upon it in the cabinet, and we decided beginning next month, the interim government will start producing digital ID cards. Digital ID cards. If you think of American driving driver's license, that is what we have in mind. We are producing digitized, something that cannot be faked, ladies and gentlemen. Again, ID cards that cannot be faked. You will also send your passport size photographs, upload them to that website. Again, the website is still under construction, but it should be coming up possibly in the very next 2 weeks. And once the website is up, we will again announce it so that you can go on the website. You need an Ambazonia ID card. You go to the website, enter the required information, and those ID cards will be produced and mailed to you wherever you are in the world, except La Republique de Cameroon or Ambazonia itself. Anywhere you are in Africa, anywhere you are in China, in Europe, in Asia, in America, in Canada, we will be able to print those cards for as long as you pay them. Each ID card is going to cost $50. $50. You can have them for you can have it for 2 years, renewable after that. Again, let me make it very clearly that these IDs are only for Ambazonians in the diaspora and not for those on ground zero. So do not think that for voting purposes, you can present your Amba ID cards. We just want for those who are living in the diaspora and have no documentation, their papers have all expired, they no longer have passports, and they cannot go to the embassy of La Republique to ask for passports. They need to carry Amba ID cards. You are filing for immigration documents, you need your Amba ID cards. And we are also able to get expert testimonies for your asylum case. The interim government is taking care of this, and we are also going to announce a special director of immigration here at the interim government who will take charge of this department. So that is what is coming up. Again, these ID cards, they are just meant for you to go out there and be able to identify yourself if you have no other ID card. The ID card will contain your names, your address, of course, everything that needs to be known about you. Again, these things are engraved, they are digitized. If you've seen American driver's license, you know what I'm talking about. They are made of solid, of quality. Once we get some out, I will bring copies to you here for you to take a look.
Oh, well, you've heard it from Chris, and like we say, there are a couple of coup plotters in black legs. Unfortunately, he's someone who has categorically come on air to say he does not believe in the flag of Ambazonia. So, who would you rather listen to? Well, that is it for that particular case. On the senatorial elections going on in La Republique de Cameroon, the gubernatorial elections also of Nigeria is going on. If we take a look at Africa right now, the 2023 Lagos State gubernatorial elections, well, that has been set to take place on the 18th of March 2023 to elect the governor of Lagos State, concurrent with elections to the Lagos State House of Assembly, as well as 27 other gubernatorial elections to all other states' House of Assembly.
The election to be held 2 weeks after the presidential election and National Assembly elections, incumbent governor of popular state, Lagos State, the APC governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu is eligible to run for a re-election, and has been re-nominated by his party. Meanwhile, the governorship election initially slated for last Saturday, the 11th of March 2023, but postponed by the Nigeria's Electoral Commission to this weekend, the 18th of March 2023, citing limitations or limited time to reset its voting machines nearly 2 weeks after a controversial presidential vote was disputed by opposition parties. Well, that report reads in part, it says this decision has been taken lightly, but it is necessary to ensure that there is adequate time to back up the data stored on the over 176,000 beavers machine from the presidential and National Assembly election held on 25th of February 2023, and then to configure them for the governorship and state assembly election, electoral body INEC said in a statement last week Wednesday.
Well, interestingly, amidst the preparation for the forthcoming gubernatorial elections, INEC still has itself to defend in court, as the case in court hasn't come to a final judgment yet. According to Business Day, the legal team of the presidential candidate of the Labour Party, Peter Obi, have vowed to take actions against the independent National Electoral Commission INEC chairman Mahmood Yakubu, following the deliberate refusal of the commission to allow the legal team of the Labour Party candidate inspect election materials in line with the order of the Court of Appeal. The court in the ruling last Wednesday refused to grant a request by INEC seeking to vary the order of the court granting access to Peter Obi as well as the People's Democratic Party counterpart Atiku Abubakar to inspect the bimodal voters accreditation system BVAS and other election materials.
Well, the panel and the ruling said the application was unnecessary because the court never granted permission to Atiku, Obi, and their parties to scientifically access and inspect the INEC's database. The tribunal said the apprehension being expressed by the INEC, which includes the possible revelation of the identities of voters and their voting choices, was unnecessary because no applicant was granted leave to access INEC's database. Ruling on the INEC's motion, the three-man panel held that the electoral umpire's application is without merit and is refused, noting that all the orders allowing Obi to inspect election materials still stand.
INEC, in apparent action to the ruling, stated that the commission was not against litigants inspecting election materials, while reaffirming that it will continue to grant all litigants access to the materials they require to pursue their cases in court. But speaking to newsmen on Saturday, a member of Obi's legal team, Alex JCMA San, said that the electoral umpire has not granted them access to election materials. He accused INEC of deliberately trying to delay Obi's legal team from instituting a petition against the presidential elections as prescribed by the Electoral Act, adding that the electoral umpire knows that accessing the election materials will expose alleged ballots rigging in the election.
Well, the Sun said the legal team was ready to take necessary measures for the commission to comply with the order of the court. He said, "We will take steps to mount pressure on them to allow us to have copies of the electoral materials in line with the order of the Court of Appeal," Ejesiame added.
Well, while the case goes on in court and Nigeria decides who their governor would be in the forthcoming week, we on Undaunted will keep a close look to any recent development.
All right, I'm moving on to other foreign stories. The United Kingdom said on Friday that it would pay $576 million over the next 3 years as part of a so-called deal with France. Now, what is this deal about? The deal is to combat illegal immigration across the English Channel. The deal was announced during a joint summit between British Prime Minister Rishi Sunak and his French counterpart Emmanuel Macron in Paris on Friday. The money will finance a new detention center for migrants in France and the deployment of 500 French security and support agents to enable the fastest detection of attempted crossings by small boats, a joint statement from the two countries said. But now let's think about it. Most of these migrants are those suffering untold hardships in various countries.
Friday's meeting saw the two leaders stress their countries' deep ties following several years of tensions over post-Brexit negotiations, fishing rights, a submarine deal with Australia, and immigration. Quote, the level of ambition of this plan is exactly what we need, Macron said, adding that this is not an agreement between UK and France, but between UK and the EU. Sunak, who faces criticism for human rights group for his moves to block cross-channel immigration with a new law criticized as racist, illegal, and unworkable, said the UK will always comply with our international treaty obligations. If you look, you will understand that our countries and leaders are not in support. France has not done anything to help southern Cameroon's Ambazonia. So does it mean it wants the denizens to suffer and rot rather than take refuge in saner climes?
Well, that's a question begging for answer. Well, this act doesn't sound nice if it eventually becomes successful. One would have expected better from them. Now, according to the UK, they have seen an increase in the number of illegal migrants who pay human trafficking gangs to smuggle them into Britain in small, non-seaworthy boats. Many of these boats have sunk and people have died. So looking at it, it's still not fair for the people. While trying to run away to maybe greener pastures, they still lose their lives. So the question is, to what end? African leaders must sit up. Now, the 19-page joint statement from the LC Palace focused on the potential for greater defense cooperation between the two nuclear powers, from the deployment of fighter jets on each other's aircraft carriers to the joint production of future cruise missiles.
Well, on Ukraine, the leaders promised closer cooperation, especially concerning the provision of equipment and munitions to Kyiv. They also pledged support for the training of Ukrainian Marines in the UK, so they obviously help who they like, while offering to pursue security guarantees with Ukraine that will help Kyiv to defend itself long-term and to block potential future attacks, the joint statement said. Self-defense update from the home front. Let's have the self-defense update from the home front.
Ambazonia, connecting the world from Africa with untold stories, Africa's best. We the people, ABC Amba TV, Ambazonia Broadcasting Corporation. The voice of the voiceless, the voice of Ambazonia, connecting the world from Africa.
Fellow Amazonian citizens, tolerating bad behavior is rewarding it, and rewarding it is encouraging it, nursing it into full bloom. And when it is nursed into full bloom, even the most effective panacea will not work. Hence, the Aristotelian dictum, kill the devil at its birth. It is 6 years now since we started calling on our politicians to emulate the example of our forefathers who withdrew from the Nigerian parliament in 1953 and came back home. We have been calling on Ambazonians, or better still, politicians of Ambazonian origin, to withdraw completely from La Republique's Senate, National Assembly, councils, political parties, and other political structures and join this our historic crusade for justice, freedom, and independence for Ambazonia and the Ambazonian people. But because of irredeemable greed, unbridled quest for mammon, tempted mammon from La Republique de Cameroon, our goals have always fallen on deaf ears. And since 2023 is our year of acceleration, a year to overcome all obstacles, all hurdles that litter our way to freedom and independence, we have to go beyond these futile calls and hold the bull by the horn. How? All those who have sold Amazonia and the Amazonian people for cash by taking part in the 12th March 2023 La Republique organized senatorial elections are declared wanted persona non grata in the territory of Ambazonia. The Amazonian Restoration Forces, ARF, and the Amazonian people disapprove of their participation in the said elections, which participation constitutes high treason punishable. Consequently, all the participants have signed their own death warrants, which the ARF have the patriotic duty to execute wherever and whenever these egocentric political criminals are found or seen in our territory. Furthermore, all these treacherous politicians ipso facto forfeit their Amazonian citizenship and the right to own property in Amazonia. All their houses, palaces, because some of them are chiefs and funds, landed property, livestock, etc. All their possession will be dealt with in accordance with our orders and the regulations in force. We are launching a manhunt for all those taking part in La Republique organized elections, parliamentary or senatorial, whatever, and any other elections in our territory. There is no justification for selling one's country and people for cash. You will be brought to justice. You will either have justice brought to you or you will be brought to justice. Either way, justice will be done by the Ambazonian National Self-Defense Council, the Ambazonian Restoration Forces, and the Ambazonian people. You will not go free for selling Ambazonia and her people. We will prevail in our endeavor.
All right, and that's there from the home front. All right, moving on to the editorial for today. Today we took a look at few activities that validate the interim government led by President Dr. Samuel Ikomen-Sako. Well, Star Smart will take us on that editorial journey.
In our editorial of tonight, we'll bring to you the last part of validation of the interim government and President Sako as the guarantor and controller of the critical mass at home front. Today, we look at a few activities that validate the interim government, earning the respect of the home front. Naming a few of the activities that validate the interim government, earning home front's respect and support. 1. Achieving resolutions at the U.S. Congress. 2. Achieving the U.S. Senate Resolution 684. 3. Achieving the European Parliament Resolution on Human Rights Abuses in Cameroon. 4. Achieving the U.S. government's periodic sanctions on La Republique de Cameroon, the AGOA sanctions. 5. Securing temporary protected status for the Cameroonians, especially Southern Cameroonians, to have the moratorium to regularize their immigration situation in the United States of America. 6. Achieving the suspension of visas for some individuals who have a hand in the war. 7. Pursuing current moves at Security Council to table our issues. 8. Mobilization of friendly nations to support us wherever, whenever, and for whatever. 9. Litigations against compatriots fighters wrongfully accused for war crimes. 10. Visibly mounting pressure on La Republique de Cameroon and France to stop the genocidal war. 11. The greatest mobilizer of Southern Cameroonians at home and abroad. 12. Creating and running viable structures at home and abroad intended to generate steam for total liberation of homeland. 13. Sourcing funds for refugees and internally displaced persons, the IDPs and others suffering Southern Cameroonians because of this war. 14. During regular fundraising that is drafting to do the various aspects of the struggle. 15. Building confidence despite disruptive moves by enemies of the struggle. 16. Mobilization of experts at home and abroad to get the various aspects of the struggle moving. 17. Organizing conferences such as the All-Ambazonian Strategic Coalition Conference, the AASC-1 in Berlin and the AASC-2 in Washington, D.C. 18. Securing the Swiss mediation process and forming the Ambazonian Coalition Team Act, inviting all stakeholders to join for a united approach towards mediation. Ironically, La Republique de Cameroon, typical of divide and rule, sponsored the formation of CDN to counter this genuine effort. 19. Creation of people-centered administrative structures from grassroots to federal government as seen with local government areas, county administrations, and federal government. 20. Formation of a functional interim government cabinet respected by the people of Ambazonia that is committed to executing services beneficial to assisting our people in every sphere of life towards attaining the independence. 21. Creation of a people-supported radio television network, ABC Amba TV, to educate and inform the people and the international community of factual progress. 22. Organizing international press conference and making interviews with international press and organizations like the BBC and the VOA, Voice of Africa. 23. Restoration of the last House of Parliament by Prime Minister Joa, called Interim House of Representatives, with representatives from all 13 counties. 24. Creation of the 3 functional arms of government for checks and balances, the Judiciary and Ethics Commission branch, Executive branch, and Legislative branch. And 25. Pursuing diplomacy aimed at seeking international support and the recognition of Southern Cameroon's Amazonia as the 55th nation in Africa. If people are objective and purposeful, they should know and accept who is doing and still does all it takes to execute the struggle to its logical and successful end. If we are talking of genuine unity and not a facade, should we not just rally behind the support those who are going and have gone this far, like the interim government and President Sako? We are talking about unity. Is it not unity of purpose? Which real unity are we talking about? The so-called peace talks sounding like surrender strategies are not welcomed at home front, with the people condemn peace talks like the Canada talks by people we do not send to represent us. People who did not sing our anthem, neither did they hoist our flag. People who sang the Cameroon national anthem, yet purported to be representing the people of Southern Cameroon. What a manipulation. So long as the People's Interim Government of Southern Cameroon, led by President Sangmelima Sako, is not involved, all attempts which are clearly La Republique de Cameroon sponsored failed our test of credibility and trust. Project masterminded by La Republique de Cameroon and their fake CDN are totally counterproductive and worthless and dead on arrival to us at the home front. The people of Southern Cameroon and home front want full independence and sovereignty as the 55th nation in Africa. Let any peace talks aim at negotiating go into the root causes of the problem. If not, then there is no use for it. Southern Cameroon shall be independent and sovereign. The United Nations voted so in 1961. Having put all administrative and governing structures in place, the interim government of Southern Cameroon is ready to govern from day one of recognition. We at Homefront know that there is no other people-centered and independence-focused government comparable to the interim government of Southern Cameroon led by President Sangmelima Sako. We call on the international community to consider our strategic location at the Gulf of Guinea in West Africa and to have confidence to deal frankly with President Sako, our trusted leader. This very piece is done by the objective voices at home front in southern Cameroon on behalf of the people. And with this, we've come to the end of this beautiful article and the end of our editorial for today. If you want more of such enlightening articles, kindly visit our website at www.abcb.com for more. Subscribe, become a club member, and a part of this winning strategy. Find out payment details on your screen. I am Sir Smart reporting for Undaunted ABC Amba TV.
All right, thank you so much, Sir Smart, for that wonderful piece there. On a sad news, we have this missing person, a report that says a young girl from Coupe Monangubar, known as Dengu Louise, left Boya for Yaoundé on the 2nd of February and was kidnapped at Mvam and has not been found even as at today. Please, the picture on the screen is the girl called Dengu Louise or the lady called Dengu Louise. So please, if you have any detail of her whereabouts, please call the numbers 67809 7016. 69600 2013 6777. That is 6377 54883. I'll take the numbers again. 6780 9716 69600 2013 6777 54883. All right, and coming up next is sports. And in sports, Real Madrid say they will support the corruption charges faced by Barcelona over money paid to the vice president of Spain's referees committee. Real Madrid are prepared to defend their interests when proceedings are opened. Well, Gab Ellison will tell us more.
Latest world sports. Football. Barcelona. Real Madrid back corruption charges against La Liga rivals over payments to referee officials. Real Madrid say they will support the corruption charges faced by Barcelona over money paid to the vice president of Spain's referees committee. Real are prepared to defend their interests when proceedings are opened. On Friday, a court heard Barcelona have been indicted for corruption, breach of trust, and false business records. Prosecutors allege Barca paid 8.4 million euros to Jose Maria Enriquez and his company in with favorable refereeing decisions. Barcelona, who deny any wrongdoing, acknowledged the payments were made to Dasnel 95 between 2001 and 2018. The Catalan club described the company as an external technical consultant, which was paid to compile video reports related to professional referees with the aim of complementing the information required by the coaching staff. Former presidents Joseph Maria Bartomeu and Sandro Russell, as well as Nguera, have also been indicted alongside the club. The lawsuits were brought by the Barcelona Public Prosecutor's Office. FC Barcelona obtained and maintained a strictly confidential verbal agreement with Jose Maria Enriquez Negreira, so that in his capacity as vice president of the Technical Arbitral Committee (CTA), and in exchange for money, the latter carries out actions tending to benefit FC Barcelona in decisions by the referees, prosecutors said. A senior Barcelona official said the club had expected the prosecutor's complaint and described it as nothing more than an absolutely preliminary investigative hypothesis. Real Madrid held a board meeting on Sunday to discuss the issue, outlining their position after having inspected the serious accusations. Real Madrid wishes to express its utmost concern regarding the gravity of the facts and reiterates its confidence in the legal system, said the reigning Spanish champions. The club has agreed that in defense of its legitimate rights, it will appear at a trial when the judge opens it up to the affected parties. Barcelona president Joan Laporta responded by insisting the club is the victim of a campaign to harm its honorability, urging fans to remain calm. It is no surprise, and we will defend Barca and prove that the club is innocent, he tweeted. Cricket. King Kohli scores 186 to end three-year Test century drought. Indian cricketer Virat Kohli has ended a three-year wait for a century by scoring 186 runs in India's first innings in their fourth Test match against Australia. The hosts finished their first innings on 571 to overhaul Australia's 480 and get a first innings lead of 91 at the world's biggest cricket stadium in Ahmedabad on Sunday. Kohli was the last man out after he fell to Todd Murphy in the final session of play as India lost their ninth wicket and Shreyas Iyer did not bat due to back pain. Australia reached 3 for no loss, with Travis Head getting the runs while batting alongside night watchman Matthew Kuhneman. Kohli ruled the day with his 28th Test ton, which he reached with a single off-spinner Nathan Lyon in the second session as fans went wild with celebration. Appearing to tear up, the 34-year-old acknowledged the crowd and the dressing room before kissing the locket on his gold chain as he smiled and looked up to the sky. The former India captain now has 75 international tons across 3 international formats. Baseball. World Baseball Classic. Great Britain lose 18-8 to Canada in record tournament score. Great Britain played their part in a tournament record on Sunday after losing to the USA in their debut at the World Baseball Classic. Britain were beaten 6-2 by the reigning champions in Pool C on Saturday and faced Canada in their second game. The two teams combined to score 26 runs, a tournament high for runs scored in a game, with Canada winning 18-8. Britain will also face Colombia and Mexico, with all Pool C games played at Chase Field in Phoenix, Arizona. Canada's tally also tied the record for most runs from a single team in the Classic, being contested for the 5th time this year, which earned them a messy rule victory after 7 innings. In their tournament debut against the US, Britain went 1-0 up from Trace Thompson's home run in the first inning before the powerful hosts took control. Nolan Aredo's 3 hits and the 3-run home run from Kyle Schwarber helped the US establish a 6-1 lead before the Chandons scored off Anthony Seymour's groundout in the 7th to make it 6-2, reaching what is essentially the Sports World Cup was a remarkable achievement in itself for the British side. Qualification for the tournament is worth 6 times the annual income of the GB governing body. The 30-man roster is a mix of global players with British or Caribbean ancestry and UK-born talent who have emigrated. LA Dodgers outfielder Thompson is arguably the biggest name among the group, and his history-making first run for Britain was given the royal treatment by his teammates, who celebrated by dressing him in a crown and robe. "We were excited. That's a great moment for us," said Great Britain manager Drew Spencer. Gab Ellison reporting for Undaunted, ABC Amba News. ABC Amba News.
All right, thank you so much, Gab Ellison. And with that sports report, we've come to the end of Undaunted tonight. But before we go, let's take a look at our major highlights for tonight.
Tonight we talked of the colonial Republique de Cameroon's government. The stations is BIR at Alabakum Bamenda, Mbengui Road. Also the streets. Also, Choayaba's abduction and ransom taking squad ADF kidnapped chiefs and denizens at Acha, Tugi, Momo County.
All right. Also today we brought a report from Africa and Nigeria concerning their elections. And also we talked about the Russia and La Republique de Cameroon's military affairs. Not just that, we also brought you reports concerning the UK and and France. All right, that was it for tonight on Undaunted, bringing to the news on Church Stories. On behalf of Michael Anchor here, Star Smart, and the entire Undaunted crew, we say thank you for tuning in.